it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we are zooming in and focusing in today on a great viewer question, and that is to better understand how they got involved with this dangerous individual. Not dangerous in the sense of a physical danger or a physical hazard as of yet, but more as dangerous in terms of how they had overwhelmed them emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, with manipulation, violating of their boundaries, and having them sort of really enter into a self-sabotage or a betrayal and really flip their lives upside down. So really, they're wanting to understand how this all occurred, how this all started, to help understand the beginning, to help move through it. So we're going to zoom in and focus in on that. And so Dr. Martha Stout, the book The Sociopath Next Door, she discusses in depth that a psychopath, someone who is devoid of conscience, and a viewer said, that this individual, she feels, is quite social. What do you mean by antisocial? When we talk about antisocial personality disorder, it doesn't mean that they're antisocial, meaning they just want to be alone all the time. It's more the fact that they are devoid of conscience. They're devoid of the very quality that makes a human being a human being. In other words, they are driven or have an experience of a sense of humanity, moral righteousness, bonding, desire to be driven by relationships, fun, experiencing life on those sort of nostalgic terms, sentimental terms, meaningful terms. So it's really how one or the mass of society really engages in life. The individual who is antisocial or sociopathic, they do not experience this. It is their existence is not replete with this sort of engagement whatsoever. They're disengaged from humanity in terms of what you think would create the substance of humanity. In other words, a sense of conscience, that seventh sense that gives you a feeling of moral right or wrong. And so if someone is completely empty of this, you can imagine what it would allow them to do if they did not have a feeling of conscience holding them back or part of a state of their personality. So when we look at understanding of how you got involved with this person, these individuals are adept at scoping people out and really engaging in a pity party, a sort of having a sense of sympathy for them. They're capitalizing on your empathy. And by sympathy or pity party, it's like they're going to tell you most oftentimes, that they need, that they have been hurt by somebody. They might have suffered a physical injury, which is making them weak or vulnerable. And they're sharing this with you right away. Like John Gacy, the famous serial killer or sociopath, he would approach his victims at gas stations, and he would present that he had a broken arm and couldn't pump gas for himself. So he had, a sympathy, feel sorry for me. So he capitalized and he drew his victims forward by that tactic. So this sympathy, this pity party, as well as sort of a inexplicable charm, something that you feel automatically attracted to them for some reason. It's just, you feel that they're engaging somehow. You just want to kind of gawk at them. You just feel in a state of just kind of gawking, or just you've got a jaw-dropping moment where I think that this is really a psychopath tell or a red flag, that you begin to kind of drop your guard right away. They seem to be very close. They can have a great sense of humor, so they can put people at ease right away. And so this creates a feeling of that you are vulnerable, you're open, you want to, hug them like a teddy bear. This pity party, and really what makes them dangerous. Like in the book, The Sociopath Next Door, it's not the sociopath that really is dangerous, it's that we fail to do anything about it. Abraham Lincoln. that is really what makes it dangerous. So in terms of identifying this and standing up to kind of looking back at your path and how you were led astray, you can see that there are several of these crucial elements. The fact that maybe they were, highly erotic or highly hyper arousing of you, broke you down in terms of your regular routine. And they were able to do that because you felt this person was worthy of it. They had merit of you sacrificing your time, your attention to what was meaningful, giving up of your house, your position at work, your time with your family, your funds, taking care of them or their family, or sacrificing really, most importantly, your values and your ideals for this individual. So it's because, there's a core element of sympathy or pity or kind of feeling sorry for this individual that, oh, woe is them. They've been through all this. I should lay out the red carpet. I should lay out the kid gloves. I should be gentle with this person. I should let them get away with it. I should allow this to occur because A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and that would merit me, self-indulging or indulging in their pity, and then it becomes a pathology of indulgence in their pity, where then the relationship is like, oh, but I want to help you. Oh, but I will do this. How many of you can look back and say that you had this feeling that you had to help them, that is how you were going to engage with them. You were going to facilitate their life for the betterment. And even if it meant, lack of betterment for you, that is the problem. And so really, I was thinking it is their darkness that shows you the light. So if you've been through this relationship, the fact that you have encountered this darkness of the soul or this dark individual, some people will say on different philosophical sides, are they evil? A lot of people would unequivocally say yes, because unequivocally they will result in harm of people, including yourself. So you need to kind of separate the men from the boys, the girls from the women in this, the normal from the sociopathic, and see, hey, I need to be around over here. And so realizing that they are not the bulk of society, they're basically, 1 to 4%, it helps you to understand that, they're going to be higher percentage in specific industries like film, like finance, like your higher tier, executive. So you're going to see a higher pronouncement of, or higher percentage of sociopathic individuals in those stratum, in those industries. But by and large, in the bulk of society, you're going to have humane, feeling, compassionate, empathetic people who you can learn to trust. And so ultimately it becomes learning to trust yourself in realizing that this has ignited the light within you to see the difference. So if you can look back with kind of an understanding of this is how this happened. I was, hyper aroused. I was, sacrificing of myself. Their needs became more important, or, their situation caused me to explain and justify for them that is what occurred. I had a momentary slip of judgment or a long slip of judgment, and, I thought that they were someone other than what they were. And so it is what it is. You need to come to that absolute foundation and say, aha, I got it, but I'm not feeling sorry for them. And I'm not tangled in their enigma. I'm not tangled in their mystery. I'm not tangled in what they're lacking. I am free and liberated. And so now really it's to do something about it, which is to help yourself or share with others, or do something extremely positive for yourself, or do something extremely positive with your life to show that you're not going to be held down. You're not going to be made crippled. You're not going to be made less than. You're not going to feel scared in society because you've encountered them. Because to do that would be to admit defeat and defeat that they win. But Abraham Lincoln, it's, the world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein made that quote, forgive me. And so, it's, so in other words, if you have been caught up in this blind obedience to this type of individual, either, romantically or in your family or in your workplace. Blind obedience, meaning you had to sacrifice or violate your own conscience to further the story of this other individual. Get back to your story and stand up for it. Do something about it. The world, Albert Einstein, the world is full of dangerous people. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. So realize now it becomes a calling for you. It becomes a sense of, really a calling for meaning, purpose, and self-protection in your life. So it really drives your life to that next level. And if you weren't expecting it, you didn't know that life had this in store for you, well, now it's time to say, okay, life had this in store for me. This is what occurred. Okay, amen, I got it. I'm all into the radical acceptance of what has occurred. And now I'm going to have rigorous honesty and say, okay, aha, I get it. I might have suffered. I might have had a momentary lapse of judgment. I might have fallen for this person. Okay, I didn't think it would ever happen to someone like me. I'm a good person. I thought I did everything right. I did not see this. And that's what makes it so difficult too, is that you can't distinguish this person from, it's not apparently or visually obvious. There's no, they look just like everybody else, but it's what's going on inside that separates them. So there's nothing really you could have done. It's not like they had, an obvious disorder, that you could see with your visual eyes, but you picked up on it and eventually you exposed it. And, you can have gratitude for the fact that you've realized that, and just think of all the people who are still in the midst, who are still in the midst of their trappings. Think of all the people who are still, married or living or working with these people who are suffering on a day-to-day basis and they don't know why. Their lives, their careers are being decimated. Emotionally, they're distraught, they're stressed out, they're experiencing adrenal fatigue. I mean, just think of all the other people who are still in the grips of these people, either physically, emotionally, or psychologically, and, are suffering. They have, a longer way to go. So commend yourself on how much progress you have seen and felt and experienced for yourself. And, do not give up. Stay the course, stay the fight, be strong. Realize that, you had opened yourself up to this type of individual. But once again, I feel it's the darkness that you've seen from them, which really shows you the light. And that is oftentimes a gem and a wonderful lesson learned. And you adhere and embrace the light, which is humanity in your life moving forward. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.